This Batman Arkham Asylum build has some really clever techniques, great storytelling, and a ton of detail packed into every room. But I definitely can't hide the fact that there were points where it got a little tedious. So let's break down this build from start to finish to see whether the building experience earns a bronze, silver, or gold ranking. My first thought going in, a LEGO modular set in a Batman universe, that's already kind of a dream combo. Modulars are what got me back into LEGO years ago, and I've been into Batman since I was a kid, so yeah, this felt like a big deal. I was a bit concerned about the sticker count. There's definitely a lot, but I figured if they added to the storytelling and were interesting enough, maybe it would be okay. Or so I told myself. Once I started the base layer, it felt like any other modular, which is a good thing. That slow, piece-by-piece start you get with modulars is nothing fancy, but it can be pretty satisfying. Laying down the framework and slowly watching the footprint come together, it's the kind of building experience that's quite relaxing. These front entryway stairs were the first part that stood out, and they have a simple layout, but the way it's built felt good and has some interesting techniques to set this in at an angle. As small as this detail may seem, adding the Arkham Asylum wording above the front door instantly changed the vibe. Suddenly, it wasn't just a modular, we're building something from Batman. This is also where we got our first real glimpse at how much detail was packed into the build. The security room crams in a bunch of stuff. We have jail cell controls, cameras, even a little photo setup for inmates. It's a tight space, but everything in it feels like it belongs, and this is also where the stickers started to hit very hard. The building pace slows down and you get interrupted every handful of steps to apply some stickers, but at least they added something. They're either world building or they're hinting that villains had already passed through the spot. They look cool, but I was getting some building fatigue at this point. In the back of the room, we get a maximum security padded cell, clearly meant for Joker. It's small, but built to feel locked down. I would say that it fits perfectly with how we usually see him handled in the Batman stories. This back alley section finishes off the back of the first floor and adds more of that gritty Gotham feel. And this is pretty cool. Check out this hidden dumpster mechanism. When you slide it out, the cell doors pop open and it's tucked in really well, and one of those things that just makes sense once you see how it works. You can also detach the back of the cells, which helps with access and makes breakouts easier to set up. One of the cells looks like someone was trying to dig their way out using a spoon, which honestly feels about right for a place like this. And yeah, at this point, the sticker pacing was starting to wear on me. I felt like every time I started to get into a groove, I had to stop, line up another sticker, and it sort of like broke that flow. I usually don't mind applying these, but it was getting to me. And with that in mind, getting to this next part kind of felt like a reset. Building the front gates was exactly the kind of straightforward section that I needed after all of that. The structure repeats on both sides, but it's simple enough that it didn't feel like a chore. It was cool to see this busted section on one side, like someone ripped through it from the inside, and it's a minor detail, but it helps the area feel less like a courtyard and more like a superhero scene. Alright, starting the second floor foundation felt like I could just build quickly and not overthink it, and after a bunch of stickers and cramped spaces, this part was way easier to get through and nothing really got in the way here. And then the ivy started showing up along the walls, which is some nice foreshadowing for what we're building in the next few sections. Now, this was easily one of the coolest additions to the second floor. The psychologist's office ties nicely to the Harley Quinn minifigure and complements the fact that this is an asylum. It's got some interesting and cool details. There's a Hugo Strange doctorate on the wall, a Two-Face coin on the desk, and a patient couch shoved into the corner, and of course we have a big comfy chair for the psychologist. It might be time to see someone else though. The sticker illustrations do add to the scene, and I love the contrast of Harley Quinn's Employee of the Month plaque hanging right next to a Most Wanted poster. This section caught me by surprise. It's a water cooler that's oozing green liquid, and we'll see more of it later in the build. It does add even more to the storytelling aspects. Moving on, we have some repetition of the first floor jail cells, and that's to be expected. Even though two of them are fairly basic, Poison Ivy's cell makes the whole thing way more interesting. As soon as the plant pieces started to show up, it completely changes the look and feel. We have vines climbing the walls, green bricks start mixing in, and you don't even need the minifig to know whose cell this is. There's also a second slide to open door mechanism here, and is just as clever as the first one. And instead of a dumpster, this time it's a hazard box on the wall with a fried egg on top. It just goes to show you how dangerous this place can actually be. I also noticed the ivy from her cell starting to creep along the outside of the building. It's a subtle touch, but it does add a lot. I don't say this every day, but building this guard tower was kinda cool. It's pretty important to the story. It's got a Batman alert built in, a big red panic button that we can all use, and a spilled drink on the floor. At first, I didn't think much of it until I remembered the green water cooler from earlier, and that's definitely not water. It feels like something bad happened here, and it's one of those background clues that adds to a prison breakout story. And the Scarecrow character definitely had nothing to do with it. After that, placing the second floor onto the rest of the model gives you that sense of accomplishment that you typically get from modulars. The rhythm of the build has been a little uneven so far, but moments like this help pull it back together and does give you that momentum. For the Batman fans out there that are new to modulars, these are very satisfying. The main roof section came together piece by piece, and even though most of it was simple, it flowed pretty well and stayed interesting. One corner uses this angled window technique that was pretty advanced, and I've got to say that the result looks excellent. As the roof came together, so did the atmosphere. You start seeing little bits of graffiti from Harley, the Riddler, and Penguin scattered around. I think it would have been okay to not have these here, but it does build a little more character to the villains that we have included. The chimney and the spotlight by the front ledge pulls the whole top section together, and it's not pretending to be a bat signal, but it does add enough mood that you can picture Batman standing there watching everything unfold. Adding the steeple on top does add quite a bit to the building. It breaks up the top line and makes the building feel taller and more dramatic. Off to the side, there's a little water tower, and it honestly just gives that classic animated Gotham skyline look. I think it's something that longtime Batman fans will appreciate. Okay, this next part took things in a darker direction. That angel statue out front seems friendly at first glance until you notice the shackles and the Joker graffiti across the face. It's pretty unsettling and exactly what you would see in the Batman universe. And to make things even better, we have a huge Arkham Asylum sign that goes over the front gate. This part really tested my patience, like for real. It wasn't like it was hard, but it was one of those moments where I had to slow down and double check everything and make sure that I apply the stickers as straight as I can. This part felt more like a hobby craft project than building Lego, but once it's set, it does look pretty good. And of course we can't have a Gotham building without gargoyles, and it doesn't make a big deal out of itself, but those little stone figures watching the entrance kind of just tie everything together. Okay, I've got mixed feelings about this next part. This comes with a mini build of an inmate van, and it's actually how you start the entire build. Honestly, that kind of threw me off. I was ready to dig into the main structure, lay down the foundation, and get into that modular rhythm, but instead, you kick things off with this thing. And yeah, I get the idea. It sets the mood and gives you a little context for the world, but as an opener, the pacing totally hit a brick wall. The van itself looks alright. It's beat up, plain, and kind of bleak, exactly what you would expect from an Arkham transport. And you've got the Arkham logo, the unit number on the top of the roof, and a license plate, which all help it feel legit. But these stickers, they kept getting in the way without really adding too much. I counted 12 before finishing the roof. I had to keep stopping to line things up, and the vibe went from, okay, here we go, to, alright, let's just kind of get through this. I was getting rather antsy to want to start building the modular building. I think maybe pacing-wise, this would have been better to build this toward the end of the whole thing, kinda as like a little bonus. Building the minifigures throughout actually helped keep the energy up. Every couple of bags or so you would build one, and there's a solid lineup of heroes. We have Batman, Robin, Batwoman, and Batwing, all with enough variation to keep things interesting. The villains show up across different bags throughout the build, and we have Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Killer Croc, the Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Bane, Scarecrow, and the Penguin, along with his minions that are up to no good. And of course, you can't have a Batman build like this without the Joker. I would say that it's a more complex build than a typical modular, and you're not building cozy interiors here, you're building a prison for Gotham's criminally insane. I think that's where this gets tricky. If you're mostly a modular building fan, this might not hit the same way as the others. You gotta kinda get ready for a darker feel. And if you're mostly a Batman fan, you might not be used to the slower, more methodical pacing that comes with assembling modulars. It kind of lives in between in this middle space. I think that fans of both will get the most out of this. That said, the big drawback for me was the pacing. Having to apply stickers every handful of steps really broke the flow of the build, and this is coming from someone that doesn't mind stickers. Now, if I was ranking this based on the idea, the design, and the cool factor, this would be a gold for sure. But since I'm ranking the build experience, it gets a silver. It's a bold crossover and a rewarding build, but yeah, it's going to test your patience. If this had half the amount of stickers and did not start off with that inmate van, it might have been a gold. Now, if you're looking for something challenging, this one is going to deliver. I did also build a Batmobile on the side to kind of round things out, so that's something to think about too. If you're sticking around on this channel, I've got more LEGO content lined up over here. Thanks for checking out the build with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I will catch you in the next one.